if we could take down TSM, then it would mean a lot.
We will out TSM themselves.
Obviously, I think player for player, we're better.
TSM are going to stay undefeated in the North American LCS.
If you make one mistake, it feels like the game's over and they can just win off that one single mistake.
We can always force what we want, and it's up to them to mess up on reacting.
I think we're just basically not on the same page.
They're having some trouble right now.
They got to keep improving, take the lumps, move on.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 of this time, for sure.
Hello everybody and welcome to the LCS Arena in Los Angeles, California for Week 6 of the North American League Championship Series. The LCS comes screaming into Week 6 tonight as 4 top teams meet to challenge each other for league dominance. You're going to get a look at TSM earlier, mid laner Bjergsen here getting set up on stage. They're going to go up against Cloud9 today as Jensen and the rest of the squad look to take down TSM to be the first team to do it. We'll see if they can, because they struggled last week. An 0-2 performance out of that squad. They'll be looking to turn it around. Thank you so much for watching with us. I'm James Dash Patterson here doing some deskless analyzing. With me is Pokemon Master Aiden Zyrene Moon. Have you caught them all yet?
Not yet.
Not quite.
Very close.
Not quite yet. All right, well, we'll keep tracking that as the night goes on. Not really. But let's talk about some stuff here, because we've got plenty to cover as we move into things. First, update your calendars, because next Friday, the LCS moves to a new time. Next week, we'll kick things off at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. And as a reminder, this changes only for Friday. So Saturday and Sunday remain unchanged at 12 Pacific. So for all those watching on the East Coast, enjoy the extra sleep. I know we will. Getting to go home a couple hours early before a Saturday day.
Come back the next day.
That's exactly right. Well, moving on to what's going on this week. We're playing on a new patch, so I want to get your thoughts on 6.13, as it's actually a pretty significant one.
Yeah, 6.13, it looks really small at first, but there's actually a couple changes in here that are going to affect competitive a little bit more than solo queue. The TP channel time, for me, is a big one for the top lane, because it's going to give you more time to react. I think Shen, he's not as popular in other regions, but NA was already prioritizing him, so I think he jumps up a little bit of a tier there, whereas there's these other S-tier top laners like Swain and stuff like that got slight nerfs, but that means that things like Rumble and that like we're going to be seeing a little bit more in the top lane.
Right, exactly. I mean, some small nerfs to Aurelia, Trundle, as well as you mentioned, the Swain and the Vladimir. We'll see how the mid lane champ pool develops, because Cassiopeia getting picked a lot, and with Vlad still powerful but not overpowered, it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out. Now I want to move to that support.
Hold on. I gotta talk about Taliyah.
Oh, you want to talk about Taliyah?
Okay. Taliyah! Like, we've been seeing her more and more. Europe played her top lane 1, 2 games in LCK, 1 in mid lane, and I think that right now, like, the mid lane S tier is Ryze, Victor, Azir, and Cassiopeia.
Okay.
Very low mobility early on, and her seismic shove, once you get that down, you're gonna be able to basically wreck those champions in the mid lane.
I mean, the real question then is whether or not anyone's actually put in the time to play her, right? Because she's a very high skill cap champion, and I know you have a stat or two about that in terms of, experience on the champion versus win rate.
Exactly. There's this experience win rate statistic where you look at people who have mastered the champion and have like 25 plus games on them. Well, she has a 66% win rate in solo queue when you've mastered her. So the people who are playing her and sticking with her are seeing a lot of success, which means that she's powerful. It's just the kit may be a little bit hard to use and utilize the first few times you play it.
Well, maybe tonight we'll get our first NA Taliyah. We'll have to see. As you mentioned, Bjergsen maybe putting in the time. Now it's time to jump to that support slot. Of course, Lulu getting buffs that make her more support-oriented. And then Janna, one of the beneficiaries of all of our support item changes that we see come through.
Yeah, the support item changes, like the healing and shielding of Ardent Sensor and Mikhail's, definitely going to make it so that range supports are the big meta here, the S tier of the bottom lane. If you're seeing a melee support, it's probably very specialized,
right,
especially in NA, because we've been favoring that range support meta for a while now. But the Ruby Sightstone and Talisman of Ascension are the 2 ones that, for me, are still kind of toss-ups. We didn't see Ruby Sightstone in the EU LCS, but we saw it a lot in NA Challenger, and its cost was reduced, so people are able to pick it up sooner, get 4 wards sooner. The activation, with all of these activatable items having 20% cooldown, it just seems like a really good item to pick up. and then Talisman of Ascension with the new passive from Zerat Portal. So Soraka's harder to catch with this item, and it has 45 armor on it.
A lot of
so,
armor.
Yeah, having that much armor on a support.
Regen, armor, it's all great. Anyway, that's going to do it for the patch. Now it's time to turn to the teams that we're looking at as we move into week 6. Of course, TSM and Immortals, they're still the S tier of the North American LCS, but the competition just below them is becoming very fierce, especially with the resurgence of Liquid.
Yeah, I definitely think that TSM, Immortals, S tier for the LCS right now. Those two are pretty much untouchable at the moment. But then C9 and Liquid, they both look like playoff teams to me, because we have these guys kind of jockeying for position. EnVy, is CLG going to get back in the mix? It's like these two are the guys who are going to be in playoffs, like pretty much guaranteed. Like Liquid is consistently improving. I think that they're the 3rd place team right now with Fabi.
Okay.
And there's a lot here with Fabi in the lineup that really makes Liquid come together. And I'm actually going to kind of half quote Jat here, because he said that
the infamous half quote.
Yeah, the half quote, right? Because what he said about Biofrost is really true for Fabi. It's not that he's necessarily better as a player than the person he's replacing, but he is a better fit for the team. So that's what I think Fabi brings to the lineup. He's very level-headed. He's not going to be in a lot of conflicts. So you have all these guys on that team that want resources. He's like, you guys take care of top lane. We have 3 carries on the team. I'm going to do my job, play Sivir, utility, and that's what they needed.
They've only dropped 1 match so far with Fabi in the lineup, so they're doing very well. We'll see if they can continue that run. C9, though, will get another crack at a top team tonight in our very first match of the evening. They're going up against TSM, the undefeated team still. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, especially after they went 0-2 last week for Cloud9. So if they're looking to end that perfect run from TSM and get a little bit of confidence boost underneath them, maybe that'll propel them to possibly a first-round bye if they keep that up. But right now, it looks like they're slipping as TL's coming up. So that 3rd place spot, I definitely think it's TL's right now. And Cloud9, they got to get it together near the end of the split, because CLG, Darshan said it, it's not how you start the season, it's how you finish.
Exactly. I mean, and Reginald was saying that on the desk last week as well, so it's definitely a sentiment that's permeated throughout the LCS. And of course, as you mentioned, if they do pick up a win here, it would do wonders in terms of morale boost for Cloud9, but on the back end of that 0-2 week, it just looks even more grim for them going against the Titans in TSM. Also, though, tonight, we're excited to offer you a special stream experience. We're firing up NALCS 2 with a focus on the mid lane. This is going to be fun. So as we head into Champ Select, you can switch over to NALCS 2, where Freak and special guests Skara and Mark Zimmerman will keep the cameras locked in the mid lane and deliver a high-level discussion on mid lane mechanics and strategy. And what mid laners would be better for this than Bjergsen and Jensen? That is a sweet matchup.
Oh, yeah, that's a great matchup. That's pretty much the matchup to watch here. The 2 Danes going at it. And I'm probably going to go watch that VOD afterwards.
I know, right?
And Mark Z have to say, and keep my eyes on that mid lane, because we are jumping all over the place, trying to track the entire map. It's like, what are they really doing the entire time?
Well, we will have the advantage of being able to watch both. We'll only be able to listen to one at a time.
Yeah.
That's the kicker right there. Well, let's check on the league standings as we move into our 6th week of summer competition. TSM and Immortals continue their reign at the top. 3rd place is contested between Cloud9, Liquid, and Team EnVy. CLG and Apex are tied beneath them, with the remaining teams rounding out the table. Now, for a look at the LCS matches we've got on deck this week, tonight TSM looks to stay unbeaten against Cloud9, who are trying to maintain their hold on 3rd place. Later, we'll showcase another top of the standings bout, Team EnVy versus Immortals. Now, as we're cresting the midpoint of the season, we want to open up the conversation to you on Twitter. Tweet to us at LollySports and answer the following question. Which NALCS team do you think will have the best second half of the split? Make sure to tweet using the hashtag NALCS to join the conversation, and we'll see your submissions on air later in the show. I'm going to extend that same question to you. Kick us off. Which team do you think is going to put up the best second half of the split here?
It's TSM's Irene today. It's like, I think TSM, they have the potential to go undefeated.
That's true.
I think they'll do it. I think that with Weldon, I think he's going to be able to kind of curb the problems that we had seen other teams face, where it's complacency. Because everybody talks about, oh, we're not going to get complacent, but you really do, and it's hard to improve because you sit there going, well, we're beating everybody because we're better than them. How do we get better? And it's really hard to find those ways, but he pushes them to discover new things.
I'm sure there will be a ton of votes for TSM, but I'm curious to see if anyone else thinks the other teams have what it takes to overtake them in the standings. TSM and Cloud9 are almost ready for Champions Select, so it's time to hand